Back from the break, Riz and the Dawg ready for the second half of the Major League season. Diamond Diehards Quick Hits is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the Dawg, Jeff Healy. Check us out at Diamond Diehards everywhere on social media. And don't forget to check out diamonddiehards.com. If you want to just go there for one-stop shopping, you can find out how to subscribe or follow our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you go to find your podcasts. We are probably there. We're pretty much everywhere. We need you to subscribe, and we need you to hit those like buttons and give us a positive review. If we want to keep this thing rolling, which we certainly are as we roll into the second half of the season. Couple of things on the quick hits. As always, FMS Graphics is a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 years. So for all your printing and promotional needs, go to fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for all of your printing and promotional needs. And if you need some nice artwork for your home, your office, or your home office, check out sportsmapz.com. SportsMapz, M-A-P-Z, sportsmapz.com. You can find really cool pieces of art. Get it for yourself. Get it as a gift. Check them out. They have all kinds of venues on there, from your baseball stadiums and the surrounding areas to horse tracks and anything you can think of pretty much. So check them out, sportsmaps with a Z.com. It's a quick hit. So we bring in the Dawg. I don't think we're doing a veteran for this one, although Dawg sometimes will slip it in, even if I said, Dawg, we don't have to do a veteran. But here's the Dawg.
Now we're gonna save it this time, Riz. We're doing our research. We got it teed up for the next full show. We'll just get right to this quick hitting.
Yeah. And also, we got to make sure that we finish up before the 7th at Saratoga. so I can watch that. I've had a pretty good opening day at Saratoga. I'm not going to lie. It could be a huge day, but
horses and courses.
Horse for course. Okay. So we've made it through the first half of the season. The first half in terms of not just the amount of games, like everybody's already played their 81st game, a week or so ago. And, really the way baseball demarcates it is, once you get to the All-Star break and past, you're in the second half of the season. So there's less games in the second half of the season. We made it through that. We made it through the home run hitting contest, home run derby. We made it through the All-Star game. And also, Dawg, we made it through the Major League Baseball draft. And they combined everything into that one weekend. And I hope they continue to do that, because I felt like that kind of added to the excitement. Last week you had the draft starting, and they made it a little better for TV. You had the first round and the supplemental round there, and then the next days you could kind of follow along with a little more interest. And the Angels basically took every pitcher with every pick in their entire draft, which is so cool. We'll have to talk to our pal Ray Montgomery about that, because he's been a guest on the show, and he switched. Since that time, he moved over from the Brewers front office to the Angels front office, and he's one of the people that's responsible for those Brewers being in first place with many, many years of good drafting and personnel moves. So, Dawg, a lot of stuff happening here over the last, week or so, leading into the break, and then at the break and during the break. Ohtani front and center, and Dawg on the scout trip, following my Twitter play-by-play to keep up with what's going on in the All-Star game.
I got 5% left. I got one app I can get open. I've got 15 notifications from Diamond Diehards. I'm like, I'm in. That's all I need. Don't need to open the app.
That's I didn't even think about that.
I just sit there and run it.
You were able to
open the app. I gotta give you the likes.
I know. I see, all of a sudden you have 12 likes, but it's all in one thing. I'm like, oh, this is what it must feel like to be, followed. The things going off. You know what? You can nitpick, and you could find all the things that you didn't like about the weekend. I mean, I call it a weekend, but it's I should really call it the break. I say the weekend because I want to clump the draft into it too, because I thought it was cool, seeing guys like Jack Leiter, um, go and have the guys at MLB Network, who have known him since he was a kid, get to get a little bit emotional about that. I love that stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
But this past week, there's some negative things like the uniforms. I was trying to do a funny take on the uniforms. Like, obviously they're horrible. Like, everybody hates
Just
it. And then I'm like,
they
but
hard the
wait,
punchline.
but wait, after the game gets official, we're going to switch and we're going to like the uniforms for the rest of the game. And we're going to castigate everybody that hates them. And then at the end of the game, we're going to do a heel turn again. And we're going to start hating the uniforms. So it didn't really work because, there's not that many Twitter followers yet on the Diamond Diehards account that I use. I have many more at Rear Naked Joke. So if you want to follow that, you can. But I've been trying to tweet Diamond Diehards more. I was tweeting with the Rear Naked Joke account during the Conor McGregor fight. And of course, like, it's just funny to see the numbers on that, where I have, a lot more followers, as opposed to, like, trying to build up the Diamond Diehards one, where I'm talking mostly about baseball, but I'm starting to mix some other stuff in. I'm a little confused about what I should do and where I should tweet what at this point, but whatever, it all gets out there. So follow both, follow both, and follow the dog at Jeff Healy 8, the number 8,
There you go.
because he's,
If you want to hear about energy and baseball,
I want to hear about
two,
it.
two groups who I'm going to pretty much like sort of hate each other. Yet I'm at that weird intersection of the Venn diagram. It's like, it's not from Texas, but he still likes energy. And he's not from Texas, so therefore he likes baseball. So there we go. Yeah, it's a great time. I mean, All-Star break, it is great because it's nice to get a little bit more jazz going on with the All-Star break. I mean, I think, they've tried gimmicks in the past. They tried, given the seventh game of the World Series, right, to the All-Star game winner and stuff like that. Like, I do like the fact that the draft is a cool way. I agree with you on that. That's cool to kind of wrap that into it for baseball, and I think it kind of fits the cadence of it as well, right? It's sort of like, just kind of gives you a little bit of time, a little bit of set up to it. The home run derby, I think, is great, especially for the younger guys. It's just a lot of fun. I remember, seeing the kids, fielding the ball, just shagging the flies in the field and all that stuff. I mean, that's a great way to sort of reach out and touch it. And frankly, we've talked about before, right? Baseball's not doing enough to reach out to younger audiences and make it appealing and stuff. And those are a couple things that they can kind of relate to, right? Hey, this high school kid just got drafted, and you might know him. Right, we've got a couple guys actually from our town who wound up getting drafted a couple years ago and stuff. It's it's pretty cool, and guys still wind up talking about it. So it's nice to kind of integrate that within and make it a whole weekend. I mean, it's amazing. You look at the football draft, right? I mean, it's so totally different in college versus primarily high schoolers and stuff. But it's like a dominating like TV performance for 3 days. And it's like baseball. It's like, all right, you might know the top 10 guys, and then that's like, oh, I don't know. They say he's good. Okay.
Yeah,
and I'll see him in 5 years.
but it's also the the largest draft, right? Because
Yep.
these draft, I mean, even the major league draft has been cut down significantly, but there's still more of a chance that somebody from your area might get picked, whether it's the second round or the 20th round, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a
So
better
cool.
chance that you might have a relationship, sort of, whether it's rooting, personal, or whatever, to some of those people. And in fact, behind the scenes, we have a couple of those things, and we're working on them. So we might be able to get you some cool guests coming up from the draft. I wanted to take 1 second, speaking of all the of all the Twitter stuff and everything that we were doing. And obviously, like, for us, that's big if we could build it up. And that's why it means a lot for you guys to interact with us. Tell us you like us or tell us you hate us, whatever. But follow along there, at least to help us build it up. So we have a little bit of better idea of what we have and what we need to do to move forward to help you guys out. But I wanted to take a second to give props to somebody for what they did on Twitter. And it's Jessica Kleinschmidt. She's NBC Sports Bay Area. She covers the A's. Kleinschmidt, you can figure out how to spell it, KLeinschmidtJD. on Twitter, Jessica Kleinschmidt. Now, so I saw a tweet that she put out during the game, and it was about Max Muncy from the Dodgers got a hit. Now, the A's drafted just days before Max Muncy, same spelling. Now, the Dodger Max Muncy was originally an A's draft pick. So she said, "Oh, look, Max Muncy was just drafted the other day, and now he got a hit in the All-Star game." And I reply. You know what? I should probably try to find it here. I just had it and then I lost it. Okay. She goes, "Dude, Max Muncy just got drafted. Now he's playing in the All-Star game. Follow your dreams, kids," which is a great tweet. I mean, it's
okay. Like
if you
good
follow
line.
it,
Good line.
it is. It's a great line.
Yeah.
It's a great line. So then I retweeted it with my comment, and I said the two of them share a birthday, August 25th, and then hashtag look it up. Like, you could look it up, like for us, Dawg, right? What does that mean?
Yeah.
We were talking about it before. It's like I think Mel Allen used to say it in This Week in Baseball, right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought
like every week you'd hear it. It was a great line you look forward to every time.
Right.
And that was the end of the story, right? And you can look it up.
Right. It's like she gives the cool, the cool line, and I'm like buttressing it. And then she retweeted it. And oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Hold on. I'll finish the story. And then one of her tweets just came up. Okay, wait. This is going to take over the show. So she retweeted it and said something like, "Imagine, thinking I don't know that when I cover the A's for a living." So to which
in the age of Twitter, you can understand that, right? There's so many people who take quick chip shots. Exactly, right?
And I'm not, and you know me, I'm not confrontational on Twitter. It's a love fest for me. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me. Then I'll fight.
Especially with that pinkish shirt you got going on there.
It's a Fordham shirt.
I know it's a Fordham shirt.
It's supposed to be. How about those Fordham Rams? Matt Mikulski, San Francisco Giants.
There you go.
I said I wasn't telling you to look it up. I was hashtagging it like the old time phrase. You can look it up.
Yeah.
And of course, because she's got so many more followers than us, like that ended up being the most.
Dawg's like, who are these guys?
the most viewed tweet of the night. So, but then I look later, and she deleted her tweet. I'm like, you know what? I have her back. I am team Jessica Kleinschmidt all the way. I was before anyway, because I like her work, and she's a great follow on Twitter. Again, Kleinschmidt JD, follow her on Twitter for sure. Not just to talk about the A's, but she's got a lot of good stuff. And this literally, as I'm saying her name, it comes up on my feed. Official from MLB following positive COVID-19 tests within the New York Yankees organization. Tonight's game between the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox at Yankee Stadium has been postponed to allow for continued testing and contact tracing. So coming out of the break, our marquee game, the Thursday night game on the slate, I think by itself, and then Sunday night, Yankees Red Sox, 4-game series. Now all of a sudden not playing tonight. Yanks need to basically they're 0-6 against the Red Sox this year. And, here you go. Like they got to start winning these games. They have 8 games with the Red Sox in the next, week or so, 4 here and 4 in Boston. And, now is it going to benefit them to go to this, 7-inning doubleheader deal? I mean, we could talk about all that stuff, Dawg, right? But wow, how funny is that? I'm talking about that literally as I'm saying it, I see her name pop up in the Twitter feed, and she's got, she's reporting on Bay Area stuff, and she's getting it as fast as anybody else out there. She beat Bob Nightingale for those that are. I mean, somebody else might have tweeted it first, and it came down from MLB, but look, we're on to a different thing now, right? Yankees 85% vaccination threshold weeks back, right? And, they've not universally had it, but remember, Dawg,
they had it in end of March, right? Wasn't it? End of March or beginning of April, something like that, right?
There was that completely underreported story, right?
Yeah.
Like that a bunch of guys from the Yankees team, including, it was during the season. Right? Because it was Glaber and a bunch of front office people. Yeah. It was during the start of the season. The season had started.
Yeah.
And it was Glaber and all people who had been vaccinated had it. And they were removed from from, association with the team. So, and we've seen this like over and over, like in the NBA, Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns, who are 2-2 in the NBA finals now. I mean, he had to miss a couple of games in an earlier series. He's vaccinated and he was coming up positive, and they, removed him from the mix. So it presents you with this weird question, Dawg. And I mean, look, there's a lot of obvious stuff there, but like, what about in the future when somebody comes up with the flu? Like just a regular, like when the flu goes back to being the flu, are they going to start just removing people from the team? I mean, if you do that, right? Michael Jordan's greatest, the flu game, right, doesn't happen. Why? Because he's sitting home in his hotel room in Salt Lake City or wherever under quarantine, under today's rules. That game doesn't happen. Period. That moment, one of the signature moments, perhaps the signature moment by
the GOAT.
The GOAT doesn't happen if he if that's the case.
Postponing, comes back, he feels better and scores more.
If there is another game.
I mean again, the difference being is obviously the potential lethality, right? So it's one thing for a flu, another thing for COVID that still has a higher lethality rate. Obviously not for that age and that that athletic ability or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we've talked before too, like the tests, right? They're almost too good now, right? Like someone starts saying, like you do it, especially with the quick swabs they do, right? That just means that your nose did its job. It kept the bad stuff out. You swiped it and you found something bad. You don't have it. You're vaccinated anyway. If you got it, your body would crush it anyway. I mean, it's interesting. We're looking at ourselves. I'm finally going back to work, in September. I think my company is one of the later ones going in office, and it's, at some point, you just have to say this disease is there. You've had your opportunity to get vaccinated. If you choose not to, then you choose not to, and you've made an informed decision. Particularly in all this case as an adult, and that's a risk you're willing to accept versus what potential if you think there's a minimal reward to it, you've made that decision. Okay, if you end up getting it, then you kind of knew what you were getting in for. And if you're vaccinated and you're exposed to that situation, that's you kind of believe in the vaccine or you don't believe in the vaccine. It's at some point, the baseball rules it just seems like now like the disease in society is pushing past the rules that we have out there right now, and they're just becoming kind of sillier and sillier. We had that actually up at our scout camp too, like where we still have like leftover rules from when they did it 3 months ago, and it's like nobody can interact with anybody else, even though we've all been vaccinated and COVID tested and everything else like that coming in, and they're still like separating everybody out. Like it's like a monumental thing, so therefore we can't have two groups like going swimming within like 100 yards for each other. I mean, does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Would you do it right now? No. Can you get it changed so there's no legal ramification on it? Also no, right? So that's kind of what it feels like in this now. It's like, fine, you're doing the crazy testing and whatnot, but at some point, who cares?
We're in the world.
I mean, they're vaccinated, they're willing to take that risk, they're willing to do whatever. Who cares?
We talk about how we're in the world of cancel culture. We're in the CYA world too, the cover your 100%. Ass culture. I mean, that's what drives a lot of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Let's face it.
There's no state of emergency now. Why are we doing it?
Yeah, as far as the Yankee thing is, it caught my eye a little bit earlier that they placed Nestor Cortez, who I love, the funky, quirky lefty, and Wandy Peralta, the not as funky, not as good lefty on the COVID list.
Bald? Is he bald and quirky?
I don't know. Does he have a mustache?
Tomei's favorite.
Does he have a mustache?
Little Seinfeld. So bald, so short, so quirky.
They placed him on the COVID list earlier in the day, and Zach Britton got activated, which kind of was like good news, bad news for the Yanks. But now this is obviously worse news.
Yeah.
Maybe it has to do with the fact
news was the big news, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Zach's back. Okay,
that was, and like you're thinking, okay, a couple of guys on the COVID list, maybe they broke protocol, maybe they have it, maybe they don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess the fact that the Red Sox are one of the teams that hasn't hit that 85% threshold. That's I'm seeing that on Lindsay Adler's tweet. She says Red Sox, one of the few MLB teams that hasn't reached the 85% vaccination threshold, are out playing catch and look like they may take BP. The Yankees, one of the first teams to reach 85%, are dealing with their second COVID outbreak of the year. But we know that the first one, at minimum, I think it was 8 guys, all men, as far as I know, that, between players and front office, whatever, and staff, that all were vaccinated and got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows? Who knows? Cashman, according to Brendan Cutie on Twitter, the Yankees have 3 positive tests and 3 tests pending. Lindsay Adler tweets that as well simultaneously. So credit to both of them. They're on top of it. Brendan Cutie, Lindsay Adler. We've talked about their tweets probably a bunch of times on here. Lindsay Adler, certainly we've read and discussed some of her great work. Dawg, we could hijack the whole quick hit show now doing that. Like sometimes it starts, we're like looking forward to the second half and what happened. And now we're doing a quick hit. So we want to parachute out of here real quick. And I think we'll back this up with another show coming up, maybe, as soon as Friday. It's Thursday now. Any big quick predictions for the second half in terms of the standings? I mean, personally, I think a lot of people are looking at the standings right now and seeing them as like basically set in stone as who's going to make it and who's not going to make it. I'll go as far as saying this. I think the standings are going to look very different by the end of the year. Go ahead.
I am going to take the other side out on yours, particularly with the Yanks. I think as the season goes along, I think it's going to get tougher and tougher. It's just not their year.
I think that with the Yankees now, listen, coming out of the box with like this, I don't know if it's something that completely screws them up. I don't know if it galvanizes them. I don't know if 7-inning games, maybe 7-inning games are better for them right now. And if they play a few of these double headers, maybe they could steal a couple. Look, I think the Red Sox have played and they've gotten themselves further over 500 than I would have expected with the performance that they've put up. I think they're vulnerable in a lot of places, and I think they've overplayed to this point what they have, and I think the Yankees have underplayed it. We've talked a lot about what I think the Yankees could do. I think they can make a couple of moves that could really bolster the team. I don't think they're out of it by any stretch. I think if I was going to bet on a team to win the division right now, I'd actually bet Tampa over the Red Sox. I think they have a little more staying power. I think they've played more to what their record is. The White Sox in the Central, that's a hard one to argue with. It's hard to imagine them, faltering to the point where somebody else like the Indians could even catch up to them. The West is very interesting. I mean, I think Seattle has played above their heads. I think the Angels could end up being a little bit of a threat maybe to come up and push for one of those second wild cards. And that would be a great story if you had Ohtani and Trout back together as well. NL, I don't think the Mets are out of the woods, but Acuna being out for the year certainly helps, when the Braves are 4 games behind them and now they lose their best player. But the Mets still have a lot of work to do, and the Phillies and the Nationals are lurking not that far behind. So you got to really watch it there.
Yep.
The Brewers have had trouble with the Reds directly. Their pitching is great, but they don't hit enough. And if their pitchers sputter, they could go on a very quick losing streak. So I'm a little worried about them. We got to see what the Cubs and the Cardinals do as far as selling. And the West, it's hard to imagine a scenario where the Dodgers play the Padres in a wild card game. Because the Giants have the best record in baseball at the break. So, it's hard to imagine that the Giants are able to keep that up. But it would also be hard to imagine the 3 of those teams not being the ones involved in the playoff mix. So we can get more deeply into that. In the meantime, go follow us everywhere at Diamond Diehards, all over your social media. And most importantly, go to the podcast apps where you find us and hit that follow button or the subscribe button, whatever it is. If you're on YouTube, go check it out. These are quick hits. These are a little bit easier to digest. We're still waiting for that big infamous first TikTok coming up. Katie Healy, get on that.
We're working it. We're working it.
Dawg, crack the whip, please. We'd like to get that out by the weekend so the material's not too stale.
It's a really good one too.
You get what you pay
See,
for.
see what they rehearsed and tried the entire show.
Yeah, you get what you pay for on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually it'll come around. We joke, we kid with you. But yeah, that's basically it. FMSgraphics.com, all your printing and promotional needs. FMSgraphics.com, SportsMapz.com, SportsMapz.com. Great pieces of artwork for your sports fan, friend, family member, or self for your home, your office, or your home office. That's going to do it for a Diamond Diehard quick hit. For the Dawg, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.